Welcome to episode 3 of All Things Sobriety. In today's episode, we chat with my friend Devon Thomas, who went from lacking structure and a partying lifestyle leading to multiple DUIs to co-ownership of a rehabilitation recovery center in Roseville, California. Looking for more balance, he ended up serving in Afghanistan, where this only amplified his pre-existing habits around substance use and alcohol. Devon shares his personal recovery journey and described how he rewired from a problematic mindset to finding sustainable sobriety in 2022 through full engagement with the 12-step program. He explained how his recovery led him to pursue education in addiction studies and eventually collaborate with friends to open an inpatient rehab facility that focuses on recovery through gym access, 12-step meetings, and creative outlets like art therapy. Devon emphasizes the importance of discipline, physical fitness, and maintaining a strong support system in recovery. He offers genuine guidance for others struggling with addiction to reach out to people in recovery for support and connection. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and Devon's devotional story as much as I did. Okay. Welcome, Devon. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Devon, everybody. He is a good friend of mine. We kind of met first on social media. We had a lot of mutual friends, and I think at the time you had already moved up to Roseville and were working at the rehab center that you're currently at right now.
Yeah.
And he's come down, he has family in this area, so we've met in person a few times, gotten to know each other a little bit better. But before I met Devon in person, he actually shot me a podcast, which he recorded in the past with, I can't remember that woman's name, but I was Allison. Yes,
Yeah.
I was grocery shopping, and I was like, I'm going to listen to this man's story since we have a lot of mutual connections, and he's kind of a staple in our community as, like, you know, a sober individual with a past. And so when I listened to the story, I was truly, truly blown away at just his past experience and how quickly he was able to kind of turn that reality around for himself. And he's literally somebody who now is a partial owner of a rehab facility up in Roseville. So, I want to talk a little bit about that, the recovery center. So anything that you want to kind of talk about that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about what I first got into working in recovery. I had kind of gone back and forth to the sober communities and the 12-step stuff when I got out of the military because I was having some troubles. I can probably get farther into that later on. But I was blessed enough to get asked to work at an all veterans rehab through some friends of mine about 5 months into my sobriety. This go around, it wasn't my first sobriety date, but this is where I finally kind of locked in on making this a real choice of mine to give it my all. And so I started working there as they called it a recovery advocate, but it could also be known as a registered alcohol and drug technician. That's kind of what we call them, techs, at my rehab. And so that kind of got me started. Then I went back to school, got a drug and alcohol counseling degree because I still had my GI Bill. I sacrificed, and we were rented. My dad and I own a house together, and we rented that out to some tenants. And I lived with my dad when I went back to school, and I would drive to from Los Osos all the way to Napomo for that rehab that I first worked at. And I had gone back to school because I really saw that that was a passion of mine to be able to give back, and started giving me a lot of purpose. And so I was able to save a lot of money when I was getting paid to go to school with the GI Bill, working full time at the rehab, and doing my own sobriety stuff. So I'd be putting in like 14-hour days, but my dad was kind enough to let me live with them basically for free for those years. And I had been speaking to one of my best friends, Mike, about my experience and working in the rehabs. And he was, he had some good friends that owned rehabs. one in Arizona and one in Northern California as well. And he was wanting to open up his own. He had his mother, unfortunately, passed away from um, addiction, and so it's a passion of his to be able to give back. And so we kind of collaborated and realized, yeah, I think we might be able to do this together and open up our own. And so we, put together the idea of it and kind of got the ball rolling. And eventually, with the help of some of his contacts and a little bit of time and effort on the back end stuff, we were able to get the state licensing. It probably took us close to a year to get everything together. But once we opened up June 2nd of last year. And things have been going great. We've been able to really establish ourselves well up here in Roseville, help a lot of people, learn the business side of things as we've been rolling more and more. And we've been able to really establish great community within our rehab and been getting a lot of great feedback from our clients that have gone through the program. And I'm feeling really blessed about that. And so yeah. And I guess my role at the moment is kind of being on call, doing intakes, taking clients to the gym, doing a little bit of counseling. And I
Yeah.
initially started out doing a little more counseling in the beginning, but we've got some really good employees that are well versed in running groups, and we've kind of passed the torch on to them a little bit and given them more of a chance to counsel. And so it seems like it's been going well lately, like that.
Where do you get like the most positive feedback from the people joining, like the clients? Like, do they love going to the gym? Do you notice a shift after like the group meetings? Like, where do you see like a lot of like positive shift in people?
The thing about that is I think that they really enjoy the fact that we're a smaller rehab, as we only have 6 beds. So you kind of get more of that one-on-one attention. It's a very clean environment. We upkeep it well. We cook good meals. We have kind of a family-oriented vibe there. Um, I think they do enjoy the fact that we do take them to 12-step meetings, probably two or three outside meetings a week, and then we have kind of an H&I group come in on Mondays that run an AA or addiction style meeting. That's been great,
Nice.
but it all depends on where the client's at. If they're really ready to make the change and they hear that the message the right way, and they're open minded and um, you know are ready to kind of drop the rock and fully lean in. Those ones continue to do well when they leave. And to be honest, this is kind of goes full like with what I've seen in the field the whole time I've worked is like the people that stay sober long term, that you don't graduate right from your addiction when you leave rehab. That's just the very beginning to get a good start and to try to change your routines and your rituals. But it's the ones that are still working a program, and the 12-step thing really helps a lot of people get that foundation. And so those are the ones that are doing the best.
Yeah.
But I think it was just,
Kind of. Go ahead.
yeah, I think the feedback that I get is just it's the people that work for us and the environment and the structure and the fact that we do take them to meetings and to the gym and kind of a good balance, the groups that we run. I think that just is better than some of the other programs that they have been to if they've been at other rehabs and stuff like that. So I think that makes a big difference.
I could see that, like having a really intimate setting help somebody actually be seen and also help somebody feel more confident, like opening up during those like group discussions
Hmm.
and things like that. Because if you're in a room full of like 20 strangers or whatever, and maybe you're
Absolutely.
already struggling with like social anxiety and stuff like
Yeah.
that, you're going to be pretty reserved in the beginning. So, like, having it kind of feel like a family vibe already probably helps soften people a lot, like right off the get.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we have a curriculum that's about 6 weeks long, out of packets, and it's a lot of cognitive behavioral therapies. And so we'll be going through different sections of mental health and things that tie into your addiction. And so they basically have a chance to journal in these packets and they can keep it. So when they leave, maybe looking back at that and where they were at the time might be helpful too. But it gives that structure. And then in the afternoons, we do a group from 1 to 3 p.m. A couple days a week. They'll do an art group, which is kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah. And then the other days we take them to the gym, and the weekends are a little bit more mellow. They go on some outings and things like that. So it's kind of a good balance.
And you guys have a good spot. Like there's a lot of nature around too. I love the fact that you guys open up to like having a creative outlet because that's kind of like the direction that I've moved in and what I've noticed really helps somebody transmute the energy and the emotions of their sobriety journey into some kind of form, like art form.
Hmm.
And it's like a
Yeah,
different part of the brain too that helps people actually like emotionally process a little bit deeper too. So to have like a creative outlet, I'm like super, super into that and like leaning into that with a lot of the people that I talk to that are just starting their journey. I'm like having something set is like really important.
absolutely. And that's one thing I try to teach is like, what did you used to like to do
Exactly.
before this thing took off on you,
Yes.
like it's like, all right, well, are you into, and maybe you didn't even know you were into art. And so that's great to introduce things, but are you into sports? Like start enjoying your sports again or, whatever it may be. Those things are still ingrained into, the things we love to do. We just kind of lose sight of it when, our addictions take hold. Then it's like, I can't go anywhere and do anything without this because this is what we do, right? Especially
Yeah.
alcoholics. So it's great to be able to tap back in. And so that's what's great about a rehab is you're getting a chance to establish what you enjoy and get good routines and be around positive people and
Totally.
really hearing the message. Yeah, almost every one of our staff members actively are in recovery and working some sort of program. So it really helps because they can advocate. And that's why I like the name Recovery Advocate.
Hmm.
Um, as opposed to technician, but to solve whatever someone wants to call it. Yeah.
Totally. And they're like, they're truly embodying what they teach and like leading by example by like continuing, always being a student of recovery. You're never like at the end or anything. It kind of just is something that you live by, after a certain, I mean, it's never really over. 6 years,
Yeah.
12 years, I mean, people are going to say the same thing, like their life shifts in their sobriety and recovery journey all the time. And one thing that I want to go back to is like, I noticed that you started playing basketball again, which is
Oh
something
yeah.
that you really loved and enjoyed, before your kind of habits took over a little bit of your lifestyle. So
Hmm.
how's that been for you?
I love playing basketball, and I go to this really nice gym here. I'm willing to pay a little extra for the nicer gym because I spend so much time there. But it's called Lifetime Fitness up here in Roseville, and they have a basketball league that I joined. I guess probably about 6 months after I moved up here, and so I've played in the league like 3 times because it's every 3 months year round, and you just put your name in, and you'll get drafted onto a team, um, random, team that gets structured every season because they'll have team captains and they just pick from whoever signs up for the league. So it keeps it interesting. Unfortunately, I'm having a hard time staying injury free though.
Oh no.
Being
Oh
41
no.
now,
Oh no.
I did something to my shoulder last season and I thought it might heal up after a month or so, but that wasn't the case. So I signed up for the league that they're in right now, but I told the guy like, ah, man, I just haven't been able to heal up. I signed up hoping I would, get better, but I had to be more honest with myself. So now I'm transitioning into trying some pickleball. We have a whole bunch of pickleball courts at our gym, and honestly, it's fun. and it's
For the
crazy.
40 and overs.
Yeah, seriously. But the crazy part is people don't even look athletic, and I'm thinking, and I've played against 2-on-2, with just a partner, one of my friends that I've made at the gym, Stevie's, involved with the pickleball scene, and I've played a few times against like people in their like 60s and 70s, and they just are crushing me, and it's
You
very good for
see?
the to drop the ego because it's like this is a whole new sport and people know how to play. But I'm starting to get a little better, but it makes me want to keep playing because it's like, oh man, I got a lot to learn. You got to drop all those old techniques from the table tennis. It's a different way of hitting the ball, or it's the kind of a wiffle ball if you've played.
Okay.
So it's a lighter thing, but it's a great sport. It's fun. There's just tons of people playing, and our gym has like beginners leagues on Tuesday nights, I guess. And so I might sign up for that next. So I still want to play basketball, but
Yeah.
man, my body just isn't keeping up with me. It's every season I get something going on that starts affecting my other workouts. So I'm trying to see if it's really even worth continuing to play. I guess I didn't take care of my body like LeBron James at this age. So
I mean, you sauna, you work out,
I
you
know.
meal prep. Like,
I don't know
come
what's
on, what can it
it's
be? Do you get
yeah, I'm not
massages every once in a while?
yeah,
No,
I'm not
literally, that's so good.
I do a lot. It's just been unfortunate. The last couple of seasons, I had a knee problem 2 seasons ago, and I kind of played through it. But this shoulder thing,
Yeah.
and I was getting the Achilles tendonitis too. So I was like, man, I'm just getting either unlucky or I'm not doing enough stretching. Probably the stretching. Probably, and I've done a couple of yoga classes recently, and I think I need to kind of embrace that, because we also have yoga at the gym too. So there's all kinds of things to kind of get involved with, and it's funny because they have um, almost like their own community within these different sections of the gym. Yoga. You got your yoga community, pickleball, basketball, the sauna. I'm always meeting people in there, and
Mhm.
so it's been great. That's where I've been able to make a lot of friendships at this gym since I moved up here.
Can
It's
your
a,
clients like enter that space if they were willing to pay the membership for a month or two while they're visiting so that they could maybe try some of those things, or do they just kind of stay more at like the locals gym or
yeah,
whatever?
the problem with that is the gym, because we're on the west side of Roseville. It's like a 25-minute drive to
Oh,
the
I see.
gym, so
Okay.
round trip would be an hour, and it's also bigger, so it'd be a little harder to kind of
Keep,
keep up with
yeah,
everyone and stuff.
I
I
see.
would love that, but at
Just to
this
see kind of
point,
where they fit in, or like maybe, spark a flame
yeah,
in yoga or pickleball or one of these other activities.
yeah, which would be cool. I think we have taken play pickleball before, and to courts that were a little closer, and I would like to see us doing some more of that stuff for like outings and stuff. But it kind of depends on where the client's at. Some people just haven't worked out ever in their lives, or they're
That's
just
true.
getting back into it. So to take them to that type of gym right away, it's
You don't want to deal with recovery and injury.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we take them to Planet Fitness because
Yeah, it's
they're
great.
pretty. That's actually a good Planet Fitness by us. They actually one of the only one I've ever seen that have like an actual um, free bar squat rack. They have a couple of those as opposed to just the Smiths machines. They've
Mhm.
got plenty of good equipment, and they have the massage chairs and other options for at least some recovery stuff. So it's not the best gym in the world, but it's a good enough, clean environment and a good way to get restarted on just moving your body again. People are detoxing. It may take someone months to detox if they were on opiates for a long time. I've seen, what one of the worst ones right now is that kratom and the 7-O. People are detoxing for literally over a month because they're also potentially being on Suboxone and they want to taper off of that. And then that comes with a whole different detox after the Suboxone.
Is this
Um,
Suboxone to help get off the?
Opiates.
opiates.
Hmm.
And is this correct? Like that kratom, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
You can get that like at a smoke shop
Yeah.
or just
That's the,
anywhere. Like
yeah.
anybody has access to it. Is it 18 and older?
I believe so. I've never seen it
Dang.
personally because I've, just never even really knew much about it until this particular rehab. I had never heard of it. Like maybe I'd heard of it, but didn't really like. I didn't know what it was until people started, and it's really what the
It,
extracted version of the kratom, which is called 7O. It's 7-OH. And that was what's really taking people down because it's like 20 times stronger. And like you, at first, you're taking a little bit, then you need more. And then, and then it's a full blown, like, I need this. Otherwise, I'm going to start detoxing and feeling like crap.
like
And now I'm
heroin.
stuck. Yeah, it's gas station heroin, essentially. Um,
That's insane.
and they still like they've started taking it off the shelves, I think, but they're not being super strict about it, so people are still selling it. So it's
Because
just
they
it's
can buy it
ridiculous.
by like a grip and like low key become a drug dealer.
Yeah, that's
Buy
kind
like
of
a
what.
bunch at one time. That's
Yep.
crazy. All right, we're gonna get into let's get into a little bit of your backstory because
Yeah.
it's really, really wonderful. And I think something you said in the beginning, like you recognize the people that come in and are really ready and have an open mind are the ones who succeed and have longevity and have a lot of success. And from what I recall in your story, it had taken you multiple attempts to really find that place of surrender and
Hmm.
mindedness to drop the ego and really just try and utilize the help that was there in like a new way.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I guess I can kind of go back. I'll try to make it a little shorter than my long shares. But essentially, going back to the high school days, I started smoking pot with the friends probably when I was about 15 or 16. And it just like totally took a hold of me right away because I really enjoyed the feeling. You're laughing with your buddies, you're having a good time. And it just took off. And it was like once it took a hold of me, I needed that every day, all day, basically, is what I like. My primary purpose was to get stoned every day. And it
Mm-hmm.
took precedence over like, you know, class and my homework and my sports. I was a great athlete and I pretty much screwed my sports career over it because I just wasn't willing to put the time and effort into school. And I just wanted to feel good all the time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I would drink a little bit in high school, but at first I couldn't really stand the taste. And my body wouldn't even allow me to drink in the beginning. I would like puke from like just like get the uh gag reflex from like taking a shot. And so I just like wouldn't even really try it. I mean, I eventually kind of learned how to drink. I would take a chaser first, just chug as much of the bottle as possible, and then take a chase behind it. And then when
Mm-hmm.
I saw the effects produced from it, I enjoyed you know,
You
what I,
overrid the system. You're like,
yeah.
I
And I
will
was
find a way.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the feeling of being intoxicated because it made me feel, less anxious and more confident. So I was like, oh, I see why people like this. And, I would do it on the weekends, but pot kept me away from drinking too much. Um, and I had some episodes of being a dumbass and doing some stupid stuff in my early 20s. But my friends would always, forgive me because I was a good enough guy and being stupid and doing stupid stuff at that age wasn't a big deal. We would laugh it off and kind of
Totally.
co-sign each other's stuff. And I ran with a group that really enjoyed partying. So those were the guys I, grew up with. We all did that. And so I didn't see it as a problem at all. And I didn't know why people would drink on their own. I was thinking, oh man, pot's one thing, but drinking on your own doesn't sound like enjoyable at all.
Yeah.
And then, so fast forward, I haven't done much with my life because I'm still doing the same shit, even when I tried the junior college thing. And my family's very scholastic. So Devon's the black sheep, because he's not doing anything with his life. I'd, try a job here or there for a few months and give up on it. And it just wasn't, something I really wanted to do. Didn't find a career path and just wasn't, didn't lock in on school. So I'm like 24 or 25. And I'd been lying to my family about going to school. And I was actually trying to grow pot illegally at the time in like a forest with some friends in the back hills of Santa Maria. And of course, this forest hadn't burned in like 100 years. And the thing got burnt down in the first fire that had
No.
happened in that region in like literally like 100 years, and it burned like 7 miles of forest, and it finished like probably like a half a mile past our crop and burnt it down. So I don't know what ever came from that, but that was going to be the start to me, being an entrepreneur and everything in my head. And so I was going to pay my dad back. That was my excuse in my head. I'm sure I never would have, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to justify my actions about lying about going to school. And yeah, so my family wasn't exactly thrilled about that situation. And that was the
Did you
maturity
ever tell
level.
them?
Yeah, yeah. And
You did.
so that
Girl,
was
I had a plan, but what happened was
yeah. And so that was, where my maturity level was at. And I still feel bad about that because my late grandfather, I lied to him about it and stuff. And it just felt crappy that looking back that I let my kind of addictive personality take a hold of my moral compass and my integrity. But that was where I was at, part of the journey.
yeah.
Um, so fast forward, the family's basically not co-signing my shit anymore. Dad's not helping me out. I tried to go live with my mom for a bit at 25 and try to look for a new career path, but there just wasn't much going on for a guy that didn't have an education and was in his mid 20s. We're in a recession in 2010. And my sister had previously already been in the military and the army. And it was always something that she was kind of trying to guide me towards, but didn't want to go to war, to be completely honest. And we were in Afghanistan and
I was
all
gonna
that.
say you gotta like timeline it like where this
Yeah.
was a while back, so there was a
But
lot going on.
I kind of ran out of options, and I was sick and tired of like disappointing myself and my family. So I decided, you know what, I better just sign up and, try to get a good job, and maybe I can utilize that job on the outside when I get out. And I really didn't want to be in the army or anything that could have had to do with potentially going to Afghanistan. It was, or like if I was, be out of harm's way. But um, that was kind of the only branch that was taking people right away, and I didn't want to wait 6 months to a year to try to get in. And so I just kind of went with the army, and I looked for a job that was going to be non-combat oriented.
Hmm.
Um, and ended up getting um, a job that was called a horizontal construction engineer, which was a heavy equipment operator. And so I was like, all right, well, I can use that on the outside. And even if I go to Afghanistan, what I was told is I might be just tearing down fobs or building roads. Fast forward, I do my basic training in AIT. Okay, sorry. Let me take a step back. So 3 months before I joined the army, I had to stop smoking pot for the first time because you have to get clean for the military. And
Right.
that's where the shift happened into drinking more often. Now I'm going out because I'm not working for those 3 months, and I've got buddies that drink alcoholically and they like to go to the bars. So we kind of linked up, and now I'm going to the bars. I'm drinking 4 or 5 days a week because that's, I always want to be under the influence of something. And I was in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I can see why people like this lifestyle. This is actually pretty fun, especially in slow. You got your Monday night football, Tuesday 2-for-1s at the library. And
Every excuse, there's
yeah,
always something. Yeah,
Wednesday
absolutely.
was college hump night, Thirsty Thursdays,
Those are
Friday,
so
Saturday. Yeah.
dangerous. Do you
Sunday we
think a
got
lot of your
mimosa.
drinking came from like the anticipatory nature of like you knowing that you're gonna leave soon also?
Part of that, and just yeah, here's my last hurrah, and
Yeah,
I want to
kind of.
enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think a lot of it had to do with it. I just like to be under the influence too. And I always want to be having a good time, like at all times, that's that addictive personality. So that kind of just led to that. Then I fast forward again, I get through my training for my job and for the basic training in the military. And the first thing I did when my dad picked me up is I got a 40 ounce of beer, and he's thinking, well, he's 25 years old, he can do this. 26, I think, at the time. So obviously joined the military a little later than some people would. And so looking back, I noticed that it was like, God, I'd already turned the corner on the alcoholism, not
Yeah.
knowing that I was an alcoholic. I was trying to have a good time and be social in my head. So that's kind of where that began. And the culture in the military is to work hard and drink harder when you're outside of work. And so that's how I made my friendships when I first got to Fort Drum, New York. All of a sudden I'm getting placed in a job that I got placed with the 630th engineer route clearance company. And when I got there, they said, all right, well, we're actually leaving for Afghanistan in 6 weeks. And we're going to be doing route clearance, which is going over there and looking for roadside bombs and clearing the roads of the bombs. So, you know, and they were given 4-day weekends. They'd already done all their training and everything. I was one of the last soldiers to get taken into that company to be able to deploy with them. So I didn't have any formal training, and this job is probably the most dangerous, if not one of the most dangerous jobs you can possibly do. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, how did I get here? And you can't quit. Um,
You're in it
so
now.
I'm in it now. And that's when the drinking took off to the next level. Now I'm drinking over fear and anxiety. And I was basically blocked out every day. Burnt through all my basic training money in like those 6 weeks. And just I linked up with a guy that liked to drink the way I wanted to drink. And we had a good time. Good time. He lived off post and was married, but he was going through a divorce, so he had off post housing. It's like, shit, I'll throw you a couple $100 a month, and can I live with you? And yeah, for sure.
Oh
And so
man.
that's what we did. And so that the drinking took off, and then I guess I'll finish up with that type of drinking. Just it already progressed, so you don't really go backwards if you're alcoholic. In my head, I'm not alcoholic because I don't wake up and drink, and I don't drink every day. I'm just trying to be social, and that I somehow made it through Afghanistan. Um, had a grenade thrown at me, got blown up by an IED, got shot at numerous times, and made it through. We lost some guys over there. Painting the picture, it led to uh, social anxiety problem when I got back through PTSD. So now I need to drink if I'm gonna like have any type of social life, because it was just the fear and the anxiety was now physical. You could just feel it, and it was like intense, but alcohol helped me. Um, I thought it was doing something good for me, and it was an outlet to kind of get away from the military life outside of work, and that's what I chose to do. And that when I got out of the military, I had actually got a DUI at the end of my career. It got reduced down to like a wet and reckless in New York, but that ended my career a few months early. Um, so I took a little break from drinking because I felt very guilty and shameful about that, and had to
Yeah.
tell my family and everything. But when I got back to California, now I was going to make up for that lost time that I missed out on when everybody else was getting to enjoy their late 20s, and always found someone to drink like I wanted to. And the party would continue, and the mistakes would keep piling up. And it was just like, I would take a little break after, I got another DUI after the military. The one in New York didn't transfer over. So that's Devon's first DUI. They offered me a program for veterans, but I had to stop smoking pot, and I had picked up pot again. And so I wasn't willing to do it at that time, but I did do a little AA and I enjoyed it. But I wasn't going to do their steps because no, I don't do homework. That's not what Devon does, you know? So, and I didn't quite understand the whole thing. I didn't have a higher power, so I wasn't going to be able to do those steps anyway. And how
Mhm.
am I going to give my will and my life up to the care of God when I didn't believe in that? So I just kind of, I'll go to the meetings, I'll do the fellowship stuff. But the great obsession for every alcoholic, which I've come to understand over the years and the more time I've spent in the program, is that I'll be able to control and enjoy my drinking again. And that always was in the back of my head. And, I got to be more mature about this. I was going through a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because so this is why I was doing this. I didn't know the nature of the reality of alcoholism or that was actually me because I saw what alcoholic was growing up. That was people that drank every day and
Sure.
they needed it. And that was what my idea of what alcoholic was. So I was just being a dumbass and I needed to be better about it. And so
In a
that
little bit of
same,
like that denial state.
yeah. And so that same pattern would continue, take a little break, go back to it, but it always turned into overshooting the mark, being willing to get behind the wheel and make bad decisions and my personality completely changed when I drank. I was a total dick after a while because I deep down inside I was hurting probably
Yeah.
and was insecure, and so those things would come out, and I'm just like that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of a drinker. And I don't know why I continued to enjoy it, but I wanted to be normal so bad that I was willing to continue to try, and it fed other type of personality traits that didn't come across well, or like character flaws and stuff.
Do you think at this point in your life, so you're like a little older, so like when you were in your
Yeah,
early 20s, your friends were really easy to like dismiss that kind of behavior and be like it's
yeah,
normal, like we're all kind of figuring it out, we're all kind of being, you know, dumbasses, whatever.
yeah.
And like, but when you got older, did you find that like your when you would have those kind of behaviors again, that they would not be as dismissed and you would have to kind of do like a course correcting or like an apology tour? Do you feel like there
Yeah.
was like more consequences the older you got for that same personality shift that you had when you were in your early 20s?
Yeah, looking back, like I would have people questioning me, like, why are you acting this way
Yeah.
or this or that? Um, and I just kind of would kind of farther and farther push myself away from the people that I grew up with, and I would find new people to hang out with. And my buddy that I really enjoyed drinking with in the military ended up moving to California, and we were party friends. Granted, we have a deeper connection than that, but that's what the precedence of our friendship kind of revolved around, just because that's what we did.
Yeah.
And so we would go down to Pirates Cove and found a whole party scene down there, and people are partying down there every day. That's like the
For people
Lost
that don't
Boys.
know, do you want to describe what Pirates Cove is?
It's like a clothing optional beach where you can basically drink and smoke freely down there, and the cops aren't really down there. And there was
Nice
this whole,
weather, kind of microclimate.
yeah,
It's always sunny in this
microclimate.
little cove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like people are down to party every day. And it was enjoyable at the time as it was this like whole different subculture down there, kind of a little hippie-ish vibe. But, we were accepted into that vibe, and we really enjoyed it. So it felt like, you get the FOMO when you weren't down there, if that was like where you were at. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a good couple of years of kind of going down there and being a part of that scene. And I would drink and drive after I left and drive all the way back up to Paso with
Mm-hmm.
no thoughts of that being a stupid idea at all.
And that's about for people that aren't in the 805, that's about a 45
Yeah.
commute, 50
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So that type of behavior was going on quite a bit. Eventually, I did get a second DUI, which was
Okay.
actually my third in 2017. So within a year period, I'd gotten 3 DUIs, a drunk in public with a resisting arrest, just all kinds of stuff that you would probably look at like, wow, like I got a real problem here. Um, and I did the Veterans Treatment Court program, um, which was good for me. We did PTSD counseling one on one, we did group counseling and biweekly check ins with the court. And I was kind of like the star um, client or member of that. There's probably 5 or 6 of us in the program at the time, but I actually kind of enjoyed AA, so I would go back to that. They didn't make that something we had to do, but wanted to be part of that sober community. But I still was unwilling to do the full, suggestions of the program, working the steps thoroughly and things like that. And so eventually that little if I can control and enjoy this again, it looks like I've gone 10 months without drinking. I'm doing better. And so that, they talk about in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous that you can try, if you don't think you're alcoholic, you can try some more research essentially. And if you can go to the bar and have 1 or 2 beers and put it down and not have the obsession to keep going, maybe you're not one of us and our hats are off to you essentially. And so that would always come back and, well, yeah, let me try this one more time. But the reality is, it was never 2 beers. And if I ever white knuckled it through that, I was not having a good time. Um, so, and I know I've kind of gone pretty long winded with my story because it's kind
No,
of
it's
hard
good.
to.
No,
Um,
it's absolutely perfect. Yeah, it's
great.
great.
And so I would say that kind of back and forth thing would happen all the way from 2014 to I got sober in 2022 for 2.5 years, but I didn't do the program. I did a little bit of AA, but I was thinking, well, I haven't been able to stay sober without smoking pot. And that's not part of their, what they um, basically allow in AA. I guess you kind of do, if you really want to be a member of AA, they say not to do anything that changes the
Like
any,
psychoactive.
yeah, anything that changes your mind from the neck up essentially. And so they were judging me for smoking pot and I'm judging
I was
them for
gonna ask,
judging
did you
me.
feel like, if
I,
you were
I,
honest about that with them, did you feel like there was a little bit of judgment there?
oh yeah. You would definitely get judged. So I didn't really tell anybody about it. And so I would tell a couple of my friends in the program knew I was smoking pot and stuff. And they were like, whatever, I guess that's what Devon's going to do. And they would
Yeah,
still hang out with me. But I did a little bit of AA and then it was during COVID and eventually I just stopped going because there wasn't that many meetings anyway. Plus in my head, I'd already made this decision that, I'm going to smoke pot and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to drink. But I got pretty lonely and depressed over the years. At the tail end of that 2 years, I mean, I was doing well financially because I was in the cannabis industry legally this time. But
perfect.
there's always a little gray area there. But that's how the industry was at the time. And I've gotten good at growing. And I have property out in Paso that I'm growing on because I was allowed to do so. And so the outside looked okay, but the inside was suffering from just not having enough like of a spirit, I guess. A spiritual side was what I was
Yeah.
truly missing. I didn't understand that. But I decided, after about 2 years and 4 months, I had already started glorifying drinking again and missing that social outlet. And I'm thinking, well, uh, if I'm going to be depressed and lonely like this and not feeling good about my life, then the giving it one more try is probably an option for me at this point because this isn't the way I want to live. And so I talked my way into trying that. It's been 2.5 years, so maybe I've finally matured enough to
I
where
got this. I got
yeah,
this.
I just have to stay away from the hard stuff. I'll just drink beer and wine.
Oh, and then the
Um,
guidelines start and the
yeah,
negotiations. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You're negotiating with your mind and trying to make some
And
excuses to be able to.
that's really normal. Like,
Oh,
I've
for
heard a
sure.
lot like that 2 year kind of like plateau
Mhm.
happens to a lot of people where they kind of go, is this it? Like, okay, now maybe I can go back. Like, it just kind of, your journey kind of just plateaus. And
Yeah.
that's actually really, really common timeline for people to like maybe explore drinking again or
Yeah.
just make it through that little like lull period that happens. And it does happen.
Yep. So I tried the 2 beer thing, and I actually did 2 beers essentially the first time I drank, but it was at my dad's Super Bowl party. I just there was everybody else was drinking. Now I'm kind of feeling like I'm missing out, and that I'd already relapse usually starts well before you actually pick up the drink.
Yeah.
But I drank 1 beer pretty quickly and then just removed myself away from the alcohol. And like an hour later, I snuck another beer nobody knew because, they figured I'm sober and stuff. So I didn't want people to know about it. Drank that other one pretty quickly.
And that's
Um,
already like problematic right there. There's,
yeah, but I still wanted to get the effects produced by it. I didn't feel much, I remember, and I made it through the Super Bowl with just the 2 beers, and I was like, "All right, see, I can do it." But I was white knuckling through it, and I had like
yeah,
made sure I wasn't by the beer and all this, and then that kicked it off again. Where it's like I started drinking beer at the bar, a couple beers, and now a week or two later, make an excuse. All right, well, I'm just gonna have a couple shots of tequila. Yeah, 6 shots later and a couple Modelo's, I'm behind the wheel again, and
oh,
and then I was dating alcoholic at a little bit after I got started because now that's attractive again to me, and
yeah,
she was a good person. Um, and we enjoyed drinking together. And she probably had a worse problem than I did.
mhm,
I wouldn't, that's not my place to make that. Um, I mean, I'm observing that, but that's her own journey to figure that on her own. But
but you
I,
were in alignment with some, right? You were
yeah,
still attracted that kind of partner, so there's something to say.
yeah. And what I noticed it was actually good for me because I've been away from drinking for long enough that when I went back, I didn't really like the culture behind the alcoholic drinking anymore. When I would look at it from an outside perspective, when she was going out late night and she wouldn't be, answering her phone and she's going, doing some extracurricular activities with friends. I'm thinking, dude, this is like not, I don't, and then she's not understanding that this isn't really healthy for a relationship.
Yeah,
And so it helped me look at myself. And I never really got to enjoy my drinking. It didn't really do for me what it used to. It didn't take me away from, the reality of my mental health issues that I was dealing with. And I remember I would get pretty confused pretty quickly after drinking. I remember that. And it would kind of
interesting.
trigger my PTSD.
Yeah.
Um, so it took about 3 months. So
So it wasn't even the same. Like you, like essentially, you weren't even really having a good time.
yeah, not really. No. And so I eventually, kind of got to the point where I was just like, man, what are you going to wait for something really bad to happen again? Get another DUI or something even worse? And I had like a little bit of moment of clarity and a little bit of a um, spiritual awakening, I suppose. Like, man, this isn't making me happy. I don't like this. I don't like the way I was feeling when I was just smoking pot. And I've kind of come to a crossroad here in my life where it's like, I want to be happy and content. I'm going to have to finally, the only answer I could think of is like, I saw how happy people were that were truly working that AA program to the best of their ability,
Yeah.
and so I'd never really done it. I had to admit to myself, I've never really done it. I've been in there and working my own program, not working their program. And so when I finally like decided, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to give it my all and actually do the steps and open my mind to trying this thing and maybe at least, being open to the idea of spirituality. Um, and I'll give it a try for a year. And they told me if you try this for a year and it's not working for you, we can always refund your misery. So I took that to heart. And when I went back with that open mind, things really changed. And the two things that stuck out to me, because I was, in a different headspace than I previously was, and more desperate for some answers, because I saw that I wasn't getting to that feeling of freedom and serenity that I'm sure we're all searching for.
Mhm.
On the wall at the meeting I would go to in Paso Robles, it said, "Who am I to say there is no God?" And that hit me. I was like, damn, well, shoot. Yeah, really. Who am I to say there is no God? Because I can't even tell you how to live your life in a good way, in a peaceful manner, and to really be happy inside. And then the other one said, and this is from the big book, they're just quotes, but
Yeah.
they would put them on the wall. And the other one
Yeah.
said, the spiritual life isn't a theory. We have to live it. And for the alcoholic, you have to have some sort of spiritual guidance in your life, or to be able to give up that power that you're always trying to hold on to something greater than yourself.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I opened up myself to the idea of it and even kind of fake it before I made it, that's when
Mhm.
everything shifted and changed. And the people in the program that used to see me come in and out saw a difference in me, and I got a sponsor and worked the steps in the first like 3 months thoroughly through all 12 steps. Then I started to feel like a real part of AA, and I would be at like a meeting or two a day for every day. I just stuck real close because I didn't want to have that idle time to get into my head, and I wanted to be a part of the community, and I enjoyed it. And luckily, I had met some people previously and kind of already knew a handful of people, and I got real involved. And then that's when I started working in recovery after 5 months, but I had something to give finally, because I had a working knowledge of, this program, and it taught me a lot about alcoholism and spirituality. And so it just really went from there. And, my life just continued to move forward, and everything I would do, I finally would put my effort in, my full effort, which I never did in my life. I never finished a thing in my life. So
Yeah.
the anxiety and the things and the addictions would take me away from ever finishing. Um, and I went back to school and got all A's, which I never gotten a 3.0 even in junior high.
I love
Um,
it.
and I got a degree in addiction studies after a year and a half, because I'd had done some of my general ed previously in my younger days.
So
Um,
you had during that 5 months where you had went back and you were like really invested fully in the program, that's when you went back to school for the addiction studies program? Was it like during that time? Or
it
like
was
how long had
probably
you been sober before
it,
you were like, okay, I'm gonna like
go back to school.
fully
Yeah,
lock into this?
probably about 3 months after
You
starting
want?
to work at that rehab. No, it was
You
about
had
eight.
shifted pretty quickly. You had shifted once you had opened
Yeah,
up to like I
yeah,
need to rewire my mind because the program that I have locked in is not working for me.
yeah. So reprogramming essentially.
Reprogramming.
But
Yeah,
I
you
would
were
say
doing
it
so
was
much.
about 8 months into my sobriety that I probably went back to school. But I had this whole new mindset about working hard and wanting more, and not making excuses, not calling into work, and you know, putting my full effort, and like wanting a bigger life and wanting to do something with myself. And luckily, I had the GI Bill. Um, that I hadn't used yet. And so it kind of lined up where I would go to the gym, I would go to work full time, I would go to a meeting and to school, blended it all together. And I'd be putting in like 14-hour days, like almost every day. I just didn't sit around and wait for the miracle to happen. I really got into action, and like started really wanting to make something of myself. And it's crazy how quickly that can happen for you when you're ready, and you just get so much more motivated in life um, when you're ready to. And that's those esteemable acts start leading to that self-esteem. And now I'm feeling good. I'm giving back to people. I have something to give. I wouldn't want to have mentored anyone before, as I wasn't living the way that I should be. So I didn't want to have that imposter syndrome, which kind of
Yeah.
felt at times when I would try to coach and things like that. I really wasn't doing life the right way um, in a lot of ways. So that's the total shifts happened when I essentially dropped the rock and stopped working Devon's old program of what he thought happiness was. Society teaches us a lot about what we think happiness is going to come from, but it's probably not the right idea.
Exactly. Yeah, your
Prestige.
discipline has always been one thing that's like really, really stood out about you in many facets of your life, like working out, eating well, sticking with the rehab program the first year of opening. That's really a challenging thing to lock into. There's a lot of things that you have to adapt quickly to in building a business like that or getting something off the ground. So, like, I feel like once that discipline hit for you, like, you really, really grew from that quality and like you've manufactured that into like so many areas of your life. And that's something that's like really, really inspiring from an outsider's perspective. And that's something you can really help people learn to do is like some people call it discipline, some people call it devotion, but either way, it's like a lock in to like your desires and how you want to grow your life.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I try to teach the clients is like building yourself out a schedule where you're staying busy all day and you're doing things that make you feel better. Fitness has become, I had started working out when I was in Afghanistan. Really, I'd never really done weights and stuff, but that was a way I can kind of escape the reality of my situation. They always had a gym at every fob or cop that we were at.
Yeah.
And so that became a good outlet. And so then I would work out pretty well over the years, but if I was drinking and partying too much, um it wasn't going to be like a everyday routine. It was something that I kept in my life. But once I got sober this last time, it was just like I have to be part of my routine to get that anxiety and have a focus. And I mean, I like building the physique and the whole culture behind the gym. And
You got me going to the gym.
yeah,
I
no,
was never
because
a gym girly.
and we talked
Literally
about
never.
that, and it feels good, right? Because you're
It
working on,
does. It's
it's a
great.
great outlet, and we can never master our physique. We have to continue to work hard at getting to better levels of it. We have to work hard to maintain it, and we
Mhm.
want to feed our bodies the correct way to get the maximized results. And then it has been proven to be the best medicine out there is physical fitness, even over any type of medicine you can get from the pharmaceutical route. And so these things start to blend, and it helps us with our mental and spiritual health. That's the three things I talk about is we can never master our spiritual or mental health either. And we have to keep working hard to get, same with physical fitness. So you got to do that stuff on a daily basis to get that reprieve. They talk about in the 12-step programs, we have a daily reprieve contingent upon this maintenance of our spirituality. But that comes with all the different things. So if I start to lack in something, I know where to tap back in. And one thing I'll add is if you have an addictive personality, it'll start popping up in other ways. But where are you going to put that energy? You can put it towards better things and kind of blend them together to where you try to moderate like things that are starting to become an issue. I'd stay away from gambling because that one started to kind of take a hold of me. Uh,
Oh yeah, I remember.
you know, and so I never thought that would be me because I don't like losing money. But then you win a couple times and that dopamine thing, and all of a sudden that's starting to take
Yes.
off. And then sometimes you can start over dating or searching for outside attention for an inside job, I'd like to say. And so there's other things that we want to, if we're pretty self-aware, we want to remember we can work a program around that or tap into our spiritual side or speak to a therapist, speak to a close friend, be honest. I try to be vulnerable and honest about my shortcomings because I do want to be the best I can. And I want to be of maximum service to others. So when I feel like I'm not doing the best I can in some ways, I try to get back to the meat and potatoes of what got me here today, so that I could be um, someone that other people can look at like, oh, right, well, if this person can do it and they've done all this stuff, that maybe I can do it too. But I don't want to be, unauthentic and be living a certain way and preaching something else. So I try to really dial things back in when I start to fall short.
Yeah.
Um, and
It's when that like dopamine scale's been hijacked by something and is taking over, and that is a big like addictive quality that, you know, um, people with addictive personality shares. And I always say, like, you don't have to change who you are, just channel it in a positive, productive way. And anytime you feel like that your dopamine is being hijacked, it's kind of a red flag. Like, because
yeah,
it's more about the process and not anything else, right? You want to just like feel good and have that be sustainable and not like have these like crazy spikes and crash outs. It leads to other disorders and things like that. Like there's a lot of, bipolar disorders or multi personality disorders when you have an addictive personality, and it's for that reason. So when you get sober, you can have more clarity and you can observe like when those systems are kind of starting to be hijacked in a negative way and recalibrate, reel yourself back in and be like, whoa, okay, like I need a break from that to realign myself. But
absolutely.
you definitely live, you definitely walk the walk. And that very much shows. And if we do need to pull back and recalibrate, that's only because like we're human and we need
Absolutely.
to go off track sometimes to bring us back to the fundamentals of what keeps us, you know, going.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I just want to, I have two questions, and like I'm going to read them both and then I'll let you kind of answer which one that you feel that you resonate more with or that you have a better answer for. So either
Okay.
what are some of your favorite coping skills that get you through the hard days? Or for anyone who's quietly struggling and wanting a different lifestyle, what advice do you have?
So I think I might be able to do both in my answer. I would say that my coping skills, I try not to sit alone within my thoughts for too long when they're looping in negativity. And my coping skills are like, all right, well, I'm going to go get a good workout in, and I'm going to call or text someone that I trust and get
Mm,
this off my chest and tell on myself essentially like, hey, man, I'm pretty self-aware, so I know where it's usually stemming from. I'm not feeling good about some of these choices I've been making lately, and here's what I've been doing, and I really want to start shifting this thing. And so even if I've told on myself and I've gone back to some of the character defects, I'll still just tell on myself again until I can drill it in here that this is never going to make me feel better. I have to have that full rigorous honesty within myself, and I have to tell somebody. My God knows, my higher power knows what I'm struggling with, because that's why he keeps, or whatever it may be, keeps telling me in a way where I don't feel comfortable with it, that this isn't right for me. And so I look for the lessons within these things.
yeah.
And when someone's struggling and they don't know how to get out of this lifestyle that's not really working well for them, that little piece of your brain that's telling you that, maybe you want to shift into something different. There's a lot of people out here that are living a sober lifestyle. I'm pretty sure we all know someone nowadays because of how open a lot of us are on social media and things like that. Why don't you give that person a call or a text, even though it might be hard, because I can guarantee they're not going to judge you if they're in sobriety and had been open about their struggles of the past, that they're going to be not only happy to help you, but it's also going to help them, because that's the purpose, the primary purpose for the 12-step program is I'm going to get sober. I'm going to help the next suffering alcoholic. But one thing I love about you is you didn't necessarily go that route, but you have a lot of those principles that they teach within what you do. You kind of have your own sober community that you tapped into and kind of evolved yourself, and you had some people around you that helped you that I'm sure as well. But that's huge because connection is the opposite of addiction. So we connecting with other people that want to go this route, or we're teaching this, or they're already within that realm. And then you have shared with me, you have tapped into your higher power. You used to go out into nature and pray and kind of do a lot of that soul searching through your past journey, and speaking to your higher power, and learned how to navigate. But then the calling really became strong to give back and to build a sober community, which is so cool. I don't know if everybody has that ability. They have the ability, but it may not be their strong suit, but it's so cool. And that's what intrigued me about reaching out to you originally, because it was like, oh man, that's cool. She's doing like these little pop-up, like sober, like bar type of deals. And
Yeah.
like, that's a cool thing, man. Because we all want to be able to go somewhere. And I don't feel comfortable at the bar past 10 p.m. when the lights get low and the noise starts, and it's just like, ah, man, I'm in my head. I'm like, why am I even here right now?
Yeah.
But then I might be alone a lot of times at night. But if there was more outlets and things to do, that would be fun.
100%.
Um, so I
100%.
really appreciate that about the way you live, and just doing this podcast. So cool. So
Cool,
I'm really
right?
feel
So
blessed to
cool.
be a part of it today.
Thank you so much for like sharing everything and talking about the recovery center. Props to you for getting that off the ground. Like, I know that was not an easy feat, and a lot of hours and devotion went into that. So just showing up again and showing that discipline that you embody is like really, really a powerful trait. And I'm excited for the people that find you in their recovery journey, because you can really help a lot of people through your story, your experience, and everything that you've learned, surrendering some of the ego stuff and tapping into that higher power that really does a lot of the work for us if we allow it to, and soften enough to allow it in. So I just want to say thank you. Answering those last two questions, I think, could really help somebody that tunes into this. So I really appreciate you giving that value to the community.
And if anybody, ever needs rehab, we'd love to be able to try to help you. If we
Yeah.
can't help you, we will find somewhere to send you, a loved one, a family member, yourself. And our website is rosevillerecovery.com. We have our phone number on there, and they're welcome to call at any time. Or if they want to reach out to my personal um, social media, it's Facebook or Instagram, I'm always willing to help. Even if I'm not going to help you at the rehab, I'm always going to be there to talk, and just like you would be. I know that that's a quality that we both possess, and we truly love it. We truly love trying to help others.
Oh, yeah. And I will link up all of your information in the YouTube bio. So if anybody's looking for that information, and also on the Spotify when I upload it on there, I will make sure to list all the ways that you can get in touch with Devon and the Recovery Center if that's something that you're wanting to do.
And one last thing is that I'd really like to shout out my other partners that I own the
Yes.
rehab for. They're really great people, and very kind, and helpful towards others. Mike and Brittany, a married couple, that are some of my close friends, and then Joseph Casaselli, Mike and Brittany Siegfried. And usually when you give us a call, one of them will answer, and they're so helpful and very great people, and just really wanting to help. So any of us would be glad to help people get started on their journey.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the scooter.
About to get on that thing, and hopefully I'm not freezing my butt off out there. It's a little chilly today, but I am saving money on gas, and it's fun. So, and I'll don't worry, guys. I'm looking both ways and staying vigilant out there. If
You
I
need
look
a
like the guy
freaking
from,
dope helmet, bro. Like a freaking dope, like something.
yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for
Thank
today,
you,
and
Devin.
I look forward to connecting again soon.